You can dance. You can dance. Everybody look at your pants.
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
All right, everybody, welcome to the 98th edition of the 9 Years podcast with Nick Draper and Stuart Deakins. We are going to attempt to brighten up your day, whatever day you're listening to us, but I'm afraid we do have to talk football at some point, which isn't the most cheery of topics for us at this particular moment in time. We'll be looking back at transfer deadline day this week and choosing what we consider to be the best 5 transfers completed by League One clubs during the transfer window. We also have our game, as always, albeit with a slight twist this week. And we'll be looking ahead to the visit of Portsmouth at the weekend, as well as rounding up all the other business in our division from the past 7 days. But first, well, I normally start with my big question. But before I do that, we need a little bit of context with some vital statistics.
Vital statistics, they're watching, you know. Vital statistics, wherever you go.
Okay, that was the only clip of that song that I could find, so the lyrics don't really work. They bear no relevance whatsoever to what we're doing. But anyway, Stu, if you've never watched The Big Breakfast, back in the day, simply, I answer your question, you have to tell me the answer. And it'll be a number of some description.
Sounds straightforward.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? So question number 1, there's about half a dozen of these. In 2017, so far we have played 27 League One games. How many of those games have we won?
6.
Very good. Have you researched this previously?
No, but I think if I remember properly, on a previous podcast, we talked about numbers and stuff like that, and I went, 6 seems to be a familiar number.
Fair enough. Well done. So 27 games, we've won 6 of them, which is less than a quarter. Also in 2017, how many goals have we scored in League One? So in those 27 games, how many goals have we scored?
Okay, so I don't think we scored. I'm hoping we scored at least a goal a game. So I'm going to go just over that. So no, that's a goal a game's not. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go for just under 25.
You're right to go under, but it's actually 21.
Okay. Worrying.
So in 27 league games, we scored 21 goals. It probably gets worse if you take away the Rochdale game, the Milton Keynes game, and the Doncaster game in that lot. That's 7 goals. So in 24 League One games, we've actually only scored 14 goals.
Yeah, we'll keep it to 21 goals. That sounds better, doesn't it?
It sounds a little bit better. Not great. Okay, of those 21, how many of them were scored in the first half?
See, my memories of 2017 so far are second half recoveries. So how many of them scored in the first half, you say?
Yeah, so of those 21 goals, how many were scored in the first half?
I think under half, so I'm going to go for something like 7.
Not far off. 5.
Yeah, not surprising.
So again, roughly a quarter of our goals have come in the first half. When was the last time we actually scored in the first half in a league game?
When we played Bury?
When did we play Bury?
I don't know, but hopefully we played them every week because we kept scoring loads of goals, didn't we?
Luckily, it wasn't that long ago.
Port Vale when they come down to us?
No, do you know what? We beat them 4-0 and all those were in the second half as well.
Damn, I'm trying to think of the games that we... No, I can't remember. What game was it? Put me out of misery.
It was Bolton away on the 4th of March.
A Tom Elliott header.
It was. Which means that we have now gone 16 consecutive League One games without scoring a first half goal.
Okay, well, let's just, if anyone's putting bets on for Saturday, you know what to, not to do.
Well, no, certainly. Well, we'll come on to that one later as well. Portsmouth, who aren't the highest scorers either at the moment. Final one then. In the calendar year of 2017, who is our top league goal scorer? Okay, so that's not going to be a number, but who is our top league goal scorer and how many goals have they scored?
So I would go for... no. I'll go for Lyle Taylor. And bearing in mind,
that is correct.
21 goals, a lot of them come in 1 games. I would say he got no more than 5.
Very good. I'm impressed with how you've worked these out. Yes, he's got exactly bang on 5.
Haha, see?
So a quarter of our goals, essentially, have been scored by Lyle Taylor. Looking at those statistics, the key one, I think, for me is this first half statistic, that we haven't scored a first half goal now in 16 League One games. And I think if you've seen all our games so far this season, you can probably, well, that probably doesn't surprise you based on how we've started all 5 league games so far. What do we need to do to change this, Stu? Why do we start games so slowly?
I suppose it's a $1 million question, isn't it? I think we knew that, then we'll be able to rectify it. We can. Change of formation is the obvious answer, but I don't think it's the whole. I think, people go 4-4-2, that will solve all the problems. I don't think that will. I think playing at a higher tempo, we just don't seem to be starting as well. So is that, do we look at how we are warming them up? Jason Moriarty does an excellent job, so it's not any criticism of him. But do we do something different to get them firing all cylinders? So, I remember, I can't remember what team it was now, but I remember a team that used to do a very strenuous warm-up, never go back into the change room, and literally out 10, 15 minutes early, just so that they were on it, as early as possible, because their starts were rubbish and that sort of thing. Do we do that? I think hard work. You just got to keep working hard. I know it sounds silly, but, we've just got to keep putting our work ethic in, when things are going against us. We do that. And I suppose the thing that I've been on about all summer is we needed a target man in that transfer window.
Is that it, though? Is there not an issue of tempo and not looking to press or impose ourselves on teams from the start, and rather expecting them to come at us? Maybe a little bit unfair in the Shrewsbury game, where, I don't know, we just write that one off, don't we? It's just one of those days. But even Doncaster, you thought there's a team there we could probably, for the taking, and we never came out in that first half. And we actually wanted to say, look, we're better than you. We're going to take the game to you, and we're going to go out and win this game. It all seems very nervous almost.
Yeah, it does. But I think tempo comes from... Tempo's... if every manager in the world went, right, we're going to want to start at the right tempo, then we'd all be managers, wouldn't we? Do you know what I mean? It's getting how do you start at the right tempo. So I think one of the things that you need to do to have a tempo is to have a ball. If you don't have the ball, how can you play at any tempo? All you're doing is reacting to the opposition's tempo. So, I know, I'm not saying the target man answers everything of that, but early on, we try and pass it around nicely. For us to pass the ball around really nicely, we have to play at some sort of tempo. But teams are wise on it at the moment. Teams push up high against us. They force us into our centre-halves. It's only really that, it's only Deji that's comfortable. Paul Robinson isn't comfortable with his feet, and we all know that, and he knows that. And then you lose the ball, you knock it long. Do you know what I mean? So, I go back to Tom Elliott, and Tom Elliott's gone now, but we used to be able to keep a great tempo when Tom used to win balls and flip balls on and hold it. Everyone joins in. That's how you keep it. But at the moment, I just feel the life's being sucked out of us because we're trying to play a passing system that realistically isn't working really well at the moment.
How do we change that in midfield? I'm just trying to think. We're not going to change, are we? I mean, you could argue that against Doncaster, our first goal comes from typical old-fashioned long ball. Lyle wins the flick, and Kwesi's in on goal. But that's very much been the exception as opposed to the norm, like you've been just describing, really. How do we change our midfield to make sure we get those players? I mean, we're without Jimmy Abdou now for 3 games. We'll talk about that in a moment. But how do you get some players that can pass the ball, like your George Frankhams and your Dean Parrott's?
Well, we've got to be realistic.
And hopefully your Harry Forresters.
Yeah.
How do you get them involved? How do you change things so they do get that time and space in midfield?
And that's where the formation could come into it. So, at the moment you're playing 3 in the midfield, and if you're thinking about on Saturday, we play, and it's away from home, so it's a different home games. You'd hope you have a little bit more of a, you'd have more of the ball because the emphasis is on you to attack, being a home team. But if you think about if you weren't going to play with the same midfield, so we've got Jimmy Abdou, which I know he can't, but if you had Jimmy, Liam Trotter, and George Frankham, no one in there is going to set the world alight. No one's going to set a tempo, so you have to change it. You have to bring Dean Parrott in, who can make that little bit of pace. Does Tom Sawers come in? I think Tom's been written off a little bit recently, but he is good going forward with the ball. He's not your typical defensive midfielder. So you have to maybe change the personnel. Antti Hartigan isn't the quickest, but he can dictate the play, and he's obviously more thinking about going forward. I don't see Dean Parrott getting back into the team. That's my only reservation of that. I think for whatever reason, I don't see how he starts at the moment. He didn't start on the Barnet game. All the players that needed 90 minutes got near enough that in the Barnet game. He wasn't even in the team just before transfer deadline day, which, me not trying to start any rumours or anything, I just feel that says a lot. And I think we probably were trying to get rid of him in the window, and it didn't happen. So, you're probably bringing back a player now who technically might be thinking he was on his way out.
And someone who might actually be a starter for a couple of games coming up, because 3 games in a week, as we say, without Jimmy Abdu, someone's got to step in, and I can't see Anthony Hartigan doing that for 3 games. So
no, look at the games. Look at the games they are as well. I know we're going to review the games, but you've got Pompey, Gillingham, which, based on both teams' forms, you want to be going. They're 6-pointers already, so they're 2 6-pointers back to back, and we really need to be looking at having our strongest team, but a team that's going to attack and get goals. So it's a big 2 games for us at the moment, this early on in the season.
Talking about midfields and midfield shapes, the goal we conceded to Blackpool on Saturday, Neil Ardley, he talked about Longstaff. I can't, for some reason, that name, even though Longstaff, the first time I always say it, Longstaff, as if I come from Manchester. Anyway, Neil Ardley talked about him getting in between the lines and stopping him from doing so. And within 5 minutes of the second half, he did. And then he went on to score. But even once he's in possession, surely we have to do better in that situation. The midfield, you can argue about the gap in the midfield and him being allowed into that space. But once he gets on the ball, he still travels a long way, and we don't put any challenge in of any quality. No,
and I think it's our reactions, isn't it? I think Longstaff was quite smart. Yes, he did get that space in between our midfield and had a free run on to Robbo and stuff like that. But I think what he done very cleverly was he got into the area as quick as he could. So he didn't look for a pass. He literally took the opportunity to back Robbo into the area. Then once you get into the area, Robbo's got to make a decision. He can't touch him because there's a chance of giving away a penalty. But then what he doesn't do is show him. He needs to show him wide. He all the time wants to come inside, but somehow Robbo gets out muscled, gets a shot in. There's still a lot to do though, isn't there? And I think in the end, George Long was just unsighted. I wasn't too sure if he got deflected in the end, but there seems to be no indication that he did get deflected. But yeah, there's a lot to do. I think you have to give credit to the player, who backs Robbo up into the area. But then you're thinking with Robbo, is Robbo's first intention to back off? Should he go on and engage the ball? There's loads of things you can look at, but as soon as he backs off and goes into the area, he's then a sitting target to be taken on.
It was pretty much on the edge of the box, wasn't it? I'm just thinking back to the goals we've conceded this season. Scunthorpe, long range. Fleetwood, arguably, from just inside or just on the edge of the box. Brentford scored a couple from that sort of area. Is that a midfield problem? Is that not getting our shape right? Because I'm guessing with Deji's fine, as we know, but someone like Robbo at centre half who doesn't have the pace, I'm guessing he's just sitting a little bit deeper, which then has stopped. Teams don't really get in behind us, do they? So is defensively the midfield not doing enough?
The reason teams don't get in behind us is because we drop so far off, which then also means between the lines you've got a big gap between the midfield and your defence, which I think is what you're alluding to, isn't it? If you're dropping off all the time, and of course people have got opportunities to play within the lines. For us, realistically, teams don't tend to drop off against us. Teams tend to squeeze. If you think about way teams play against us, they very much condense the game in there because they want to force us to pass the ball, and we can't because we can't get the tempo quick enough. We can't shift the ball wide enough. We can't create the pitch. We can't get the pitch wide enough. So then we go long. So teams don't drop off, whereas actually we do. So there's your space in between it. So it's not surprised no one's got in 1-on-1 against us. But if you look at a lot of goals we conceded, they've been from angles. So if you look at Cole up at Fleetwood, they were from angles, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? Header for the Shrewsbury game. And the goals we conceded, some could say they're worldies and some really good strikes, but ultimately, yeah, they're not great goals, are they? Do you know what I mean? I think
drop Robbo then and bring Will Nightingale in and just maybe take a chance of pushing higher. Is that a solution?
I think Robbo and Will Nightingale are going to fight for that position until Darius comes back. So I think that place is up for grabs. Robbo at the moment has started all the league games, including the Brentford game. The only one he missed out was Barnet, which was when Will come in and was captain for a point. So Neil Ardley's gone with Robbo. It's not saying that Robbo's been at fault for the goals. He hasn't. It's a team game and stuff like that. But I do think it's a position that's up for grabs. I don't think Robbo's done enough to hold on to it. I think Deji has. Deji stays in automatically. Will Nightingale, likes to push up. The problem with Will, and it's a flip side to it, is that Will sometimes can get attracted to the ball and can try and go in for a header that he can't win, and then he gets dropped. He then gets rolled, and then all of a sudden you've got a man out of defence. But I think Will will be biting. I think he'd be looking. I can't think what expression I was going to use then, but he will
biting at his ankles or whatever.
Maybe,
to get
possibly, but he will be working hard in training as Will normally does to try and get that starting place. And I don't think he will play on Saturday, if I'm being totally truthful, because we seem to start with Robbo through thick and thin at the moment. But that's the place surely that's up for grabs.
Chomping at the bit.
That's the word.
Well, yeah, words. Jimmy Abdu then, was his challenge worthy of a red card, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes.
I agree.
I think, we all see football, Wimbledon, games of Wimbledon through, yellow and blue tinted glasses. We all do that. But, if you look at it realistically, he comes in from distance, he goes face on with a player, goes 2-footed, both sides are showing. I hear the argument about, both feet went off the floor. Doesn't need to be dangerous. If that was, if that was against us, I know what you and I would be doing.
That was my argument at the time, which was that if they should have been on the other foot, we'd all been screaming for a red card. So I don't think we can have any complaints.
I've been watching it. I've watched it a few times back, and I think it's the fact that he comes face on. So he comes face on and goes 2-footed in. So the player, people say it's not dangerous, but the actual player's had to, in a way, he can't go for the ball because if he keeps his feet there, Jimmy wipes him out, doesn't he? And that's why it's deemed dangerous. I don't think he was out of control. I don't think he was. I don't think Jimmy's that sort of player. But it's a red card. And if you look at the reactions really from the players, I don't think we were that beside ourselves, were we?
No, you can tell normally. Reactions tell you a lot. And aside from maybe Cody, who was right on the scene when it happened, I think everyone else Liam Trotter certainly just seemed to shrug his shoulders and walk away. And you're right, that is almost a fail-safe way of telling you whether or not it was a deserved foul or not, or deserved red card or not. The only other thing I was going to ask you about really was the substitutions then following that red card and what happened to our shape. My thinking was we were 1-0 down when the red card happened. So Neil Ardley, quite rightly, has said, well, there's no point in sticking to a back four and trying to keep things tight like we have been. We need to score. So let's get some more attack-minded players on the pitch. But our shape it fell to pieces, didn't it? And Blackpool could have picked us off. Well, they did pick us off. They just didn't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the fact we've got George Long in goal at the moment, then that could have been 3 or 4. And that worries me a little bit. I'm always one of saying, do you know what, I'd rather lose 2 or 3-0 than lose 1-0. I think I've always been along on them lines. However, when you think about it, at the moment, we're -2 goal difference. What would a 3 or 4-0 drubbing have done to us confidence-wise? So it's one of those catch-22, isn't it? Yes, we went for it, but we got picked off so easily. And I never felt we were going to score. Yeah, it was one of those. I just thought, are we going to really score? But when they attacked, they looked a lot more clinical, didn't they? And more belief. I think that's the difference with our forwards at the moment. It's the belief that they're going to score. It's the belief that someone's going to make that run or gamble to get on the end of something. I just don't think we have that belief at the moment we can score. We look at Blackpool, and they attacked in numbers, hit the post. George Long made some fantastic saves, but it was like the old-fashioned cup game, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I don't know whether I actually think that was the wisest thing to do in the end, because a 3 or 4-0 drubbing would have been demoralising, if not already on the 1-0 defeat.
On that cheery note, like we said we were going to try and do, let's try and get some 3-word reports in. So from Twitter at 9YRS Podcast, we have our favourite 3 #Don's 3-word reports this week. First from SW19 Womble at SW19_Womble. Try scoring goals. I'm going to look back through the records, Stu, and try and find out the last time we scored so few goals in the first 5 league games, because I was actually racking my brain, and I don't think it's happened in my lifetime. Now I know I was only born in what was I born in? 93. Yeah, so it hasn't happened since then, to my knowledge. Not in the first 5 games. I know we went 3 games without scoring, or it might have actually been. No, we scored 5 against Sheffield Wednesday, didn't we, that season? So we actually ended up with 6 from the first 5. So, Anyway, I'm muttering to myself here. T92 AFC Wimbledon at T92 AFC Wimbledon. Never win away. No. Do you know, we talked about our last goal in the first half, Stu. Do you know when our last away win was?
I would say it would have been Scunthorpe away, that midweek victory.
It was Scunthorpe at the end of February.
Yeah, I remember it just because it was a cracking win at the time and we needed it, and Don Polion winner, wasn't it, if I remember properly?
Yes, it was. Dean Parrott scored the other goal.
Yeah, who both are not in the team at the moment for whatever reason. Well, we know why Dom isn't. He's not officially a player anymore.
He's not with us. It's like the website report that said a Blackpool player will not be involved because he has gone on loan to Motherwell.
I saw you said that to me, and I thought Has someone really done that?
Yeah.
It's like I say, John Fashio will no longer be playing Wimbledon because he's retired.
Yes, because he doesn't play for Wimbledon.
Team news could be really excited, couldn't it? We should do that. We should do the alternative team news for the 9-year podcast.
Could you imagine it?
The thing is, it's easy at the moment. Them questions normally are be a little bit more. Well, I'm not too sure, but they're so easy because we're all highlighting them. We know the games when we didn't score. We know how many times we haven't scored. We know the last home win. All those things, and that's the problem at the moment. I'm not going to be negative because I'm probably one of the most positive people out there if I can be about football. But you can't help it because people are bringing up stats about when we haven't scored, and they're not only just treating the season as this season 2017-18. They're now going the calendar year, and when you open up to the calendar year, it looks a damn sight worse, and that's where people are going at the moment. So we just need to, get a win, don't we? And Pompey might be the right visitors on Saturday, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. One last 3-word report. Ray Armfield's back, Stu. At Kent Womble, not very illuminating.
Legendary.
Perfect.
Because what happened at Blackpool this weekend?
We lost 1-0.
Of course, but the illuminations went up.
They did indeed. I wonder if there were more people in attendance for that than were at the football match. Probably was. By a considerable margin, probably. Anyway, orange, by the way, tangerine. Because I saw a lot of it on Saturday because there was lots of empty seats. Didn't know blue clashed with tangerine, but never mind. I'm not going to go down that route again. League One. Elsewhere in League One, other results. Well, actually, I suppose we should start with the first managerial casualty. Now, is that the first managerial casualty in the whole of English football in the top four divisions in the Football League? I think it is, isn't it? Certainly is in League One, and that is Justin Edinburgh, who was shown the door at Northampton.
Yeah, and I think if it wasn't for the fact that you had the international...
Sorry, hold on.
Cobblers.
Justin Edinburgh shown the door at Northampton.
Cobblers.
No, it's true.
What I was going to say, I think if it wasn't for the international weekend, I think you would have found Slaven Bilic and Ronald de Boer beating Justin Edinburgh to being sacked, but I think they got a...
Is it Ronald de Boer or is it Frank de Boer?
Oh, one of the things.
I genuinely don't know.
No, it's probably Frank de Boer, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe they're both impersonating each other because none of them are doing a good job anyway, are they?
It's like a Bella Twins thing where they just sort of switch places and no one knows.
Yeah. Sure, I haven't sacked them yet. I don't know what one's actually going to turn up. But yeah, I think Justin Edinburgh, I think their recruitment wasn't great during the window. I think I alluded to that, didn't I? That I didn't think their recruitment was great, and that sort of said it, really, didn't it? So that's his... Did he leave Gillingham? He did, didn't he? Or did he get sacked at Gillingham?
I think he left Gillingham.
Yeah, so... And you have to look how Gillingham are turning out this season, so maybe it's... I don't know, maybe there's something in that with Justin Edinburgh, but let's see if he gets another job elsewhere.
I'm sure he will do. What other results stood out to you over the weekend?
Yeah, so on Saturday, Shrewsbury's another win. So 2-1 win at Gillingham. I know I fancy Gillingham to go down this year. I think we all do, don't we? You still got to win the games, haven't you? So Shrewsbury winning keeps their run going. So it actually makes me feel a bit better because it makes me feel like we probably did win against a team that might do well this year. If I'm going to hold on to any hope on how we're doing. And finally, the live game for Rotherham winning at Pompey on Sunday.
You know, I watched two football. In fact, I've watched 4 matches in 4 days, haven't I? If I include England. If you think of the England-Malta game, which was not the greatest watch, us at Blackpool, which was a very boring watch, and then Doncaster away at Portsmouth, which...
Did you not watch the Bradford Bristol Rovers game?
Yeah, good point. I tell a lie. I saw the most of that.
That was a good game.
Yeah, but I got so depressed watching it because Jake Reeves was just running the show, really.
Yes, yeah.
Well, not on his own, of course. There was a number of good players that impressed me for Bradford, actually, on that day. I think Vince Lou was very good, and Don Polion as well, and, of course, Charlie Wyke. Yeah,
they've all got connections somewhere along the line, haven't they?
Yeah, they all play for Bradford.
Oh, well. Yes.
Sorry, I think you were about to say something else entirely there before I could.
No. Oh,
the Doncaster Portsmouth game.
Yeah, sorry. The Rotherham game. Sorry, beating Pompey.
Rotherham.
Yeah, I don't think Rotherham have won away for God knows how many games. I said they had a bit of a disastrous year in the Championship, but I just looked at how out of sorts Pompey are, which is encouraging when they're coming down to our place on the weekend. But good win for Rotherham, but yeah, that's a tough defeat for Pompey.
Yeah, and I think as well as Shrewsbury, I see that Carlton Morris, who is a player they brought in on loan, who impressed me when we played them. I think he's sort of flown under the radar a little bit and is probably one of... You talk about recruitment, which is probably why Justin Edinburgh's lost his job. Shrewsbury looked like they've actually recruited very, very well, which I didn't pick up on prior to the season kicking off. But anyway, talk about poor recruitment. Oldham 3, Charlton 4, and Oldham persist in playing Ben Wilson in goal, despite the fact they signed 2 new goalkeepers in the transfer window. But
it's funny. It's funny, though, isn't it? It's funny. Come on.
Well, it is quite funny.
Tell me you're not laughing.
Well, I'm not at Oldham. I like Oldham as a club, but they signed Ben Wilson, so you know what's coming to them, really, don't you? Let's very quickly run through our hero and villains as we are running late.
Just sounding great.
Your hero?
My hero was the iFollow for allowing me to stay in touch with the Blackpool game. As I
because that's right, because you had a weekend abroad, didn't you?
as unfortunately I couldn't make Blackpool late notice. But then the villain is also iFollow for actually giving me access to watch what was unfortunately a disappointing performance. So it's both a hero and villain.
Oh, I see. Very clever. Very, very clever. My hero, Wimbledon player, I always like to choose George Long. There was no one else. He's won our Man of the Match poll on Twitter 3 times out of 6 games this season.
Yeah, he's going to win that miles off. Well, do you know what? Hopefully he doesn't win it miles off, because if he wins it, it means we've had a very difficult season.
Yeah, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? And my villain, the England band, because I was watching England on Monday night. I was very, very happy with England won, played quite well. But the England band, it's just, it was 10 years ago, it was beyond a joke. 15 years ago, it was beyond a joke. And yet they're still around. So, FA, sack 'em off.
You're listening to these fine gentlemen and their new song, One Horse Town. Available now on iTunes and Spotify.
So the transfer madness is over for the summer. Deadline day came and went with lots of rumination and regret, but in reality, very few actual transfers. Before we discuss the best deals in League One, Stu, I ask you, do you agree with plans to close the transfer window before the season starts?
I just think it's a no-brainer. Why would you start a season not knowing you're going to keep hold of your best players? Just doesn't make any sense. Let's be honest, if we... I don't know about you, but I was a little bit worried that Lyle Taylor was going to attract QPR or whatever they were looking at, someone, and you think, well, if he's going to play well, then we're in trouble. But thankfully, well done to Lyle Taylor for not playing at his peak during August. And now I'm expecting to have a player of the month performance for September. But no, to answer your question, yeah, it's stupid. Why build all your squad and then potentially lose players during a window? It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's either that or we go back to the old system. So then clubs aren't rushing or trying to make silly deals or spend stupid money at the last minute. They're not panicking because they have time throughout the entire season to get things together. But that's not going to happen, is it? Because of all the European employment law, whatever led us to having these transfer windows in the first place. Anyway, we digress. Lots of business, well, not that great. A little bit of business in League One on the final day in the transfer window, but we've been looking at the transfer window at the summer as a whole, and we've decided on 5 players that we have picked as being our best transfers or our most interesting or eye-catching transfers of the summer to League One clubs. So, Stu, should we do this in ABBA format? So if you go first and then I do the next 2 and then you do the next 2.
Yeah, so just quick, how have you judged your top signings? Have you gone for value for money? Have you gone for the wow factor or a bit of both?
My judgment is based purely on the impact I think these players will have on their respective teams. So I've gone on the quality of the individual.
Okay.
Because I've got a real mixture here of season-long loans and freebies and undisclosed fees. So how have you judged yours?
I've gone on value for money, and mine's interesting actually, because we didn't set a criteria, which I didn't. If it'd be fun anyway. But mine are all permanent signings, so mine are not loan signings. But I've gone for value for money as well.
Okay, so who did you go for? Who's first on your list?
Well, yeah, the first one's not a no-brainer. I've gone obviously for our own maestro, Jake Reeves, going to Bradford. I think 150,000. When you look at what's out there and what he's doing already, I think that is great business for Bradford.
Yeah, he was on my list. he wasn't the first name on my list, but Jake Reeves, yeah, absolutely. If you think as well, he's still relatively young, isn't he? He's 24 now, so he's the same age as me. And I think I've also picked it having seen him on Saturday against Bristol Rovers. The assist for the third goal, I just think it's actually a lot harder than it looks.
That's a great ball
to get his cross in. I was surprised how little the commentators remarked on it. Because he made it look easy, but it's really not to judge that perfectly. Put it on Charlie White's head, and yeah, just his energy throughout the game. He just does not stop running. So I think looking at that, Bradford I expect, as we've said pre-season, to be top 6, and Jake Reeves will be pivotal in that.
Yeah, and do you know what? I accept the fact 150, and it's not saying we got rid of Jake Reeves on a cheap because our hands were tied a little bit of our Gemma's agreement, but I seriously believe I seriously believe Bradford would double their money when they get rid of Jake Reeves at some point.
Could be a championship player this time next year.
Easily.
Okay, so that was my first pick, so I'll now pick my second one. And I went for John Messino,
Ooh, yes.
who went to Oxford from Burton.
That's right.
And he has experience of promotions. He won 2 promotions in 2 years with Burton, from League One and then from League Two, and then he played 2/3 of their games in the Championship last season when they stayed up when nobody thought they had a hope in hell's chance of staying in that league. So I think his experience is going to prove vital for Oxford, who I'm now judging will also be in the top 6.
Yeah, I think you're right. He was on what I'd done, I looked at my top 10. I had about 10, 12 players, and he was on my top on that list. I think whenever I've seen John Messino, I've always felt he's a bit of a safety player. Mm-hmm. Never felt he stood out.
No.
Never felt he stood out. But for Burton, obviously, done a great job. You're right, got championship experience. And it was a free, wasn't it, if I remember properly?
It was a freebie.
Yeah, so it was good value. Oxford, interesting for Oxford as well, because they've got a foreign manager, so recruiting-wise, interesting he's gone for, because he has recruited some Spanish players and some players like that. But yeah, I think it was only for the fact that in my opinion, I had a bit of a stronger 5, but he was close to being in my top 5.
As I say, yeah, it's based purely on experience of having been there, done it, for a team that I think are looking to, which sounds mad actually, considering where they've been, but eyeing a move to the second league, the second tier. But anyway, your next 2 then. Okay,
so I will pick my next 2. So I've gone for Stephen Taylor.
Oh, that's a good one.
Who went from Ipswich to Peterborough.
I had a Peterborough player, but not Stephen Taylor. Okay.
Just a fact that I remember him at Newcastle wading with goals in the Premiership. Free transfer from Ipswich, which I can sort of understand why maybe he's dropped down a level. I think he's 31, 22. I think he's a good player. I think he's captain material, experience, and he's been ever present all season. I know he's only played 6 games, but played games, scored already. I think he'll get goals, good leadership, and not surprised to see a Peterborough team doing so well with that type of player in a team.
Do you think he's moved somewhere in the East Anglia region? And that's what, if he was at Ipswich, and do you think he's just settled into that sort of region, and Peterborough's quite a nice one for him to get to? Because it's a bit of a left field one, really. Yeah,
because no one's going to understand the word he's saying, are they? Let's be fair, people in that part of the country have got their own language anyway.
Exactly.
So God knows how he communicates with anybody.
Sign language. Pictionary.
Yeah, I didn't think of it from that point, because his most of his career was... It's actually, I was looking back at it, most of his career was in Newcastle, youth products of their academy. Spent a year at Wycombe on loan, which I didn't realise.
No, I didn't know that.
Just when I was just generally looking back at the goals he's got, I was surprised he had a year at Wycombe. But you're right, he's obviously maybe settled in the Ipswich Peter. They're not far away, are they? But I think it's a great signing for them, I really do. And when I only obviously there's a lot of transfer activity during the summer, isn't there? And it was only when I saw him scoring a goal recently that I thought, wow, how have they attracted him? And then it didn't surprise me when I thought, actually, how well they're doing this year.
They have started very, very well, but no conversation about Stephen Taylor can go by without us mentioning his famous dying swan impression, having handled the ball on the line for Newcastle and falling as
Not once either, he done it.
Yeah, he did actually twice.
A couple of times.
Twice. I always remember the one against Villa, though. It's just like, that was some great WWE type selling. Yes, that's really hurt me in my stomach.
It was funny. Did he ever see the fight? I don't. He actually didn't laugh. Did he? He still like protested his innocence, did he, as well?
I'm sure once he's retired, he'll dine out on that one for many years. Who was your next one?
Okay, so my next one, what I'm going to pick here, I'm going to pick Matt Crooks from Rangers to Northampton.
Cobblers.
So Matt Crook was the player who was with
wasn't he with
who was at Accrington?
Yeah.
And he went in a double deal, didn't he? He went with Josh Brindas to Rangers, who I think still at Rangers. But it's an undisclosed fee. I think I looked at it, they reckon it's in the 6 figures, which doesn't surprise me. I think he had a really bad season at Rangers, didn't get in the squad too much. But I remember Accrington raving about him. 6 foot. If you remember probably when he come down to our place, do you remember when he come down to our place and bossed down midfield? Mm-hmm. I just think he's a player that's... I don't see him being a gamble, I really don't. Obviously, Northampton haven't done well, but I don't necessarily think it's down necessarily one player. But I think he's a cracking player, and he's a player that I would have loved to have attracted to Wimbledon. I think he's cracking. Mm-hmm. So what have we got for you now?
Well, my next 2... Let's get the Peterborough one, because I referenced him earlier. No surprise... Well, in fact, Stu, you're going to finish this sentence off with probably. Which Peterborough signing do you think I've included on my list?
He's probably on my list as well, because I've got 2 Peterborough players on my list.
Okay.
Would be Ricky Miller.
It's not Ricky Miller.
Wow, who is it?
It's Jack Marriott.
Oh, you've gone for your safer Luton bet, haven't you?
Well, because he's from Luton, yes. But also, he has... I didn't realise he was quite as young as he is, considering he's been around for a few years now. So he's 22.
It's just being at Luton for that long. That's what it does to you, mate.
Well, no, true. And he's scoring goals. He's not been prolific. He was never prolific at Luton, but he was always felt like he was playing, or he could play at a higher level. And I think he started with Peterborough in fantastic form. And I'm going to assume that Ricky Miller might be on your list, but there's real competition there. And I think he will not only score goals, but he will also put pressure on Miller to score goals as well. So Jack Marriott, 22, I have to go for him, Luton boy. And I went for Michael Kitely.
Yeah, I looked at that.
From Burton as well. Like Messino, left Burton. Went to Southend, scored on the opening day, didn't he? They've not won since. But again, getting on a little bit now. He's at 31, which, for an attacking midfielder, getting on a little bit. Wayne Rooney's been thrown onto the scrap heap at his age, and he's only just turned that age. But I think he'll add... Again, it's all about adding experience and a bit of know-how and a bit of quality. And Southend just really have to start showing that, because they haven't done since the first half of the season.
Yeah, but Joel, I might be wrong. I don't think I am, but Southend didn't have a cracking start to last season either. If I remember properly, it took a little while for that team to gel.
No, they didn't. You're right. No, they didn't.
Yeah, so...
And that's what cost them in the end, didn't it? Because their slow start.
Yeah, so I think they're doing exactly what they did last year. Whether Phil Brown's going to be in trouble because of that, because he spent... I don't know what their budget is, but wow, it's a decent budget when you look at their squad in total. But yeah, no, I looked at that. I must admit, again, it was only because... he's getting on a little bit, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? But he's got all the experience from a higher level, so it's good that wasn't he with Southend before? Was that right? If I remember reading somewhere, he was with Southend previously.
I think he had a spell with Southend.
Yeah, I think that's where the link was. Apparently, where he went back there or something. Yeah, it's a good shout. I'm still laughing at your Jack Marriott one. I think it's quality how you managed to get a Luton player in it.
Well, you wait to my final choice. Who was your? So how many have you got left? You got 2 left.
Yeah,
okay,
so Ricky Miller is one of my ones. I've got 2 Peterborough ones. I think they've done really well in the window. Oh, right, yeah, he got a 6-8 match ban, didn't he?
Yes, so he's not started yet, has he?
No, so he's going to come in. So let's be honest with you, Peterborough are going to be like, wow, we've got a new signing still to come in. Yeah, that'd be interesting. We've probably played him at the same time. But yeah, I think a great move. He's not as old as people think as well. Free transfer, scored bucket loads of goals in the conference. I watched quite a lot of conference football as I still remember our roots, and I quite enjoy watching the conference. And he scores all types of goals, and with the ammo that he's going to have, or the supply he's going to have from Peterborough, I can see him scoring bucket loads of goals.
Cool. So then that leaves you with
last one. So you probably would. I don't know if you'd guess this one, or you might have. Cause I've raved about his player, but Stephen Dawson, who went from Scunthorpe to Bury on a free transfer, centre midfielder. Dynamo really gets stuck in. If ever you saw Scunthorpe last year, he was the one that kept everyone together for Scunthorpe. And I remember looking at reports, they were devastated to lose him on a free transfer. They offered him a new contract. He turned it down, moved to Bury. Everyone moved to Bury, do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's a cracking player. And like I say, if you want, I've always said for ages that you want a midfielder who's tough as anything, gets with tackling, can pass it. He's a cracking player. So yeah, he's my 5th. I haven't done an order, but he's in my top 5.
I looked at Bury's squad, and he was a name I did look at, because when you're talking about signings over the summer, the first club you look to in our league is Bury, because, as you say, they signed pretty much everyone. I just resisted picking a Bury player because I just thought it was one signing too many, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, they've 15 and probably the same out as well. Yeah, you're right. Jermaine Beckford was always the obvious one to go for, but I don't know if it's value for money. They're probably paying him bucket loads, but to get Steve Dawson on a free transfer, yeah, I just think it's. I think them deals are quite clever. But then a lot of players are running their contracts out now, aren't they? Anyway, so because people can't afford to put them on long contracts, as happened with us to Tom Elliott.
Yeah, and it's always funny looking back at transfers, and the 1st of August, or not the 1st of August, sorry, the 1st of July was when you see the huge spike in completed transfers because of all those players that the contracts had finished and they'd moved on. And I think there was some ridiculous amount of transfers on that day. Yeah. Something like 12,000 transfers worldwide. It was something, I don't make that up either. That was something ridiculous like that. But
so you got one more, mate?
Yeah, good shout. I have one more, and it is not an ex-Luton player, but an ex-Wimbledon one of sorts. I've gone for Dan Adji, or, as my father called him on Saturday, Dan Agay.
He probably responds to both.
He might well respond to both, but Dan Adji I went for. He's gone to Warsaw, so he's gone abroad from Burnley on a season-long loan, and I think for the impact he's going to have on that team, which he already has done because he scored, didn't he, on Saturday on the weekend, I have predicted Warsaw to go down this season, but I think in a player of his quality at this level will score goals and help them survive. So I think he's going to be a very, very important player for them this season.
That's an interesting one you've gone for him. I'm in two minds, you know. I look at it now and I go, what has he benefited from going to Burnley, didn't he? Was that right?
Yeah.
I just think to myself, what has he benefited from going to Burnley, getting a loan move to Coventry? So he had I think he had a season under 21s, if I remember properly, then a loan out to Coventry last year, didn't he? Then a season loan. I just look at that and think, apart from the fact he's earning bucket loads more money, which I get that, but I just still think, I don't know, I wonder if his development is, would he have done better if he stayed with us? Because he still stayed at the same level, basically, isn't he, really? I know we got promoted soon, he played League Two, wouldn't he? But should have stayed with us, really.
It's always the question to ask, though, isn't it? Because down the years,
yeah.
we've had this many times. All right, the jump that Chris Hussey made was a lot bigger at the time, but again, was it the best thing for him to go straight into a Championship club? You could argue the same about Ryan Sweeney.
Could do. Who's gone to Bristol Rovers.
He's going to spend the season at League One.
It's just the fact that they get more money for playing in and it's again the old adage of the Premiership clubs just stockpiling their squads and loaning them out. It's just that's another topic for another day. But stockpiling is very much what they're doing, isn't it? And paying the law of averages and stuff like that. But yeah, actually, don't get me wrong, I thought Dan Adji was quality when he was at our place. I don't know, Walsall, all the time they got a little Messi in midfield who's scoring goals already, then they're going to do well, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, they have got Oztuma.
Yeah, I just call him.
I think the combination of those two.
I just call him Little Messi because he's easier to pronounce.
If you're a little Messi, you really must be short. But then he is. So
he is. What a cracking player! What a cracking little player.
Do you know what we should do, Stu? We should keep an eye throughout the season, every now and again, at our picks and see how they're getting on at their respective clubs. Yeah,
definitely. I think I'd have top goal scorer.
So do I.
I think Ricky Miller. I think anyone that is really a 50-50 is Matt Crooks. It very depends on Northampton.
Well, yeah.
And how he's come back after he's been damaged by Rangers, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
And coming into a team that haven't started very, very well, but
cobblers.
Precisely. Right. With that said, did you watch any of the transfer deadline day, by the way?
I did. Yeah, we were at the
we were at the Don's Trust meeting, weren't we? Of course we were.
Yeah, weren't we? So,
of course we were.
I got back. I found it quite enjoyable. I love the fact. The thing is, transfer deadline day, I thought it was a bit more enjoyable this year because there was a few deals, wasn't there, that were on and off.
It sort of reached a peak, didn't it, around the ear incident a few years ago, and then calmed down. There's not been much of note, but then this year there was a few bits and pieces.
Yeah, and I found it interesting the way clubs like Arsenal were panicking, Chelsea were panicking. Look at the window this year. Chelsea they lost out on Lukaku, didn't they? He went elsewhere. They lost Matic. They lost out on Barkley by all accounts because Conte wouldn't pick up the phone. Yeah, they've had a disastrous. And Arsenal panicking last minute, trying to get a deal over the line on International Week. I think that was a problem also they had because FIFA in their wisdom have done International Weekend on transfer deadline day. So you had Sanchez out with Chile, didn't you? And a Man City representative waiting to do a deal over there. But I think a few clubs showed their hand of how desperate they are. Arsenal trying to desperately recover now and say that Sanchez is now going to play fully committed and stuff like that. And Chelsea have had a great window, have they? I think the only club that's won out of the window, and I'm actually not too disappointed because I think a strong Premiership is always a good season when you've got a strong Man United team in. I think they look like proper favourites to win the league at the moment.
I would agree.
And there's a Premiership window for you.
And that is us done. Right, I guess we should move on. And normally at this time, Stu, I would play the Abdu Are You theme. But of course, following his red card on Saturday away at Blackpool, Jimmy's suspended for 3 games over the next fortnight.
Boo. I was just getting good at that game as well.
Well, sorry, Stu. Whilst he's away, he's sunning himself on a beach somewhere. So we need a replacement for 2 weeks. And no, it's not going to be a pyre or lower. That will never be back, ever. No, it is time for George Frankham Dine With Me.
What a game. There'll be loads of people queuing up for this one.
I thought it incorporated 2 of your favourite things, George Frankham and food.
I don't mind Dine Me either. I don't mind Dine Me, so yeah.
Okay. This is a little bit different, of course, though, for for our listeners. So it's very simple. George Frankham, he is hosting a dinner party with 3 members of the current squad.
Okay.
And using the clues I give you, you just have to work out who the odd one out is and why. Okay?
Okay.
So of the 3 players that George Frankham is dining with, you have to work out who the odd one out is. Okay?
Okay.
It will be on the same rules as I do with you. There'll be 3 clues. You can guess after each one, but I won't reveal the answer until the end. So, first of all, I suppose I should tell you who the 3 players are, shouldn't I? They are Liam Trotter, Paul Robinson, and Andy Barcham. And the odd one out is the player that has played north of Watford. And I should probably clarify that for the pedants amongst you, has played for a club north of Watford, because they've all played at one stage in their career a game of football north of Watford for the 3rd time.
So you're going to... The 3 names, I know you straight away you're trying to get me to go Andy Bartram as being the odd one out, because that would be the sensible option.
Why is that?
Because Robbo and Liam Trotter, Millwall connection. Mm-hmm. So that would be the first thing. So Trotter's played at Bolton, Robbo, Millwall, Pompey. Ooh. What was the question again?
Which one's the odd one out?
And not played North. Sorry, have not played North.
The odd one out is a player that has played north of Watford.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't think of Liam Trotter at the moment, but I don't think that's right.
Okay, well, you've still got a couple of other clues. The odd one out, he has played at the same club as one of the other 2 players. So the odd one out has played at the same club as one of the other 2 players, but not both.
This is really going to try and catch me out. I'm trying to think Andy Bartram did play somewhere else. I swear. Andy Bartram. I'm going for Andy Bartram now. I don't like this game.
It's a little bit tricky because the logic involved is fairly tricky. It's a very strange game. But okay, so you now moved on to Andy Bartram.
Yeah.
3rd clue, this player, the odd one out, has never scored against us.
So that takes... It's not Liam Trotter because he scored against us last season at home. I think Barch did score against us. I think I've gone literally every player for different rounds on this one. So it must be Paul Robinson.
Okay, so is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go through the clues again?
Yeah, go for it. I'm quite interested in this one.
Okay, so this player, he's played north of Watford. He's played for a club north of Watford. He's played at the same club as one of the other 2 players on the list, and he has never scored against us.
I don't think Robert did score against us. I think Bartram did. I think Bartram scored for us either at Gillingham or Pompey.
Go on then. Let's have a final answer.
Yeah, I'm still Robbo.
It's the wrong answer.
Who is it?
It was Bartram.
Damn.
And there was no anagram question. There was an anagram clue, but there's no point. Because it's an odd one out, there's no point in giving you the anagram. I would just tell you the answer. But I will give you what the anagram would be. But, yeah, Andy Bartram, he's played north of Watford. He played for Scunthorpe.
Yeah, see, I knew he played up north. I couldn't think what the team was. Yeah.
He has played at the same club as one of the other 2. He played at Portsmouth, which Paul Robinson did.
Who's captain at the time.
Yeah, but he never played at the same club as Liam Trotter. And finally, no, he's never scored against us. Now, neither has Paul Robinson, but Paul Robinson's not played north of Watford either.
Yeah, okay. Jimmy, I'm really looking forward to you coming back, my friend.
Well, we're having this again next week, I'm afraid.
Damn you. George Frankham gets sent off on Saturday.
That's a good point.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? I've just now jinxed it.
You've just jinxed it. We're going to have no midfielders for the Gillingham game. But do you want the anagram anyway?
Yeah, go for it.
Randy Cabham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'd have got that quite easy.
I think you would have done. There we go.
Cool.
Speaking
Good game.
Well, yeah, it's different, isn't it? And speaking of upcoming games, we have Portsmouth on Saturday. We won't look ahead to the Gillingham game because there's a whole set of fixtures before that, but we might catch up with you early in the week with an audio update perhaps, so keep an ear out for that one for the Gillingham game. But Portsmouth visit Kingsmead on Saturday. They are not in good form, much like ourselves. They are winless since the opening day, and they've only scored 4 goals in League One so far. On the evidence of their game with Rotherham, Live and Sky, which you talked about earlier, they seem quite similar to ourselves. I think that's fair when you say, Stu. They're well organised, but lacking a bit of flair.
Yeah, I looked through their squad and I'm like, they got rid of Gary Roberts, didn't they? Which is a flair player, whether he moved up to League One and done well with that. But I look at Kelly Jackett's just gone in there and made her a little bit bang average, really. I just don't see any... that Pompey crowd are a nightmare crowd anyway at the best of times, and now they think they've got somebody who's actually got some money involved. It's going to be even worse for anyone playing at Pompey, but I looked at their signings, new goalkeeper this season. Interesting one because David Ford, who was the ex-Millwall goalkeeper, was on loan at Pompey, got Player of the Year, but then didn't get a contract and was at Cambridge now. They brought in McGee on loan from Spurs, who was at Peterborough last year, and I didn't think it was great at Peterborough, so I'm like trying to think why they've gone for that. Brought a guy in from Dagenham Redbridge. This makes me laugh. They brought a guy in from Dagenham Redbridge who is, forgot his name, I did pull it
Hawkins.
here.
Is it
Hawkins, that's the one. Brought him in to replace Michael Smith. Interesting. Both very similar players to me from what I saw. But yeah,
One probably cheaper than the other, perhaps.
Possibly. But yeah, I just don't know. I look at Pompey and I just think them coming to us on Saturday is a godsend. Are we getting Pompey at the right time? Possibly. I don't actually see them doing that great, if I'm being truthful, based on what I saw. So yeah, because they got thumped at Oxford, didn't they? Thumped 3-0 at Oxford, draws Walsall, Wigan. So not a great start. I don't think they're that great. I don't think they've even got much up front. I mean, Pittman looks okay, but I didn't look at anything and go, that scares me, if I'm being honest with you.
No, I think they're looking at perhaps the winger, isn't it, Lowe? They seem to rate him highly, but I didn't really think too much of him when I saw the game on Sunday.
Well, he's the ex-Hampton, isn't he? He was at Hampton and Richmond.
Right.
Yeah, he's the local one that was being spoke about quite a lot. I remember last season they were speaking quite a lot about him, but he's all right. But again, I think he gets swallowed up. I just think he gets swallowed up at Pompey. I just think Pompey fans are still stuck in that day and age that they should be a Premiership club, and now they're no longer fans owned and they've got a bit of money. I don't think they're going to be really. I don't think they're going to put up with that much longer. If I'm being truthful, so I think Kenny Jackett's got a tough job in his hands, and he don't look the most inspiring person, does he?
He doesn't, to be fair. Kenny Jackett, that's the first, to be fair, we've had all game.
Yes, we've done well.
Yeah, we've done well. I think we've only played against Kenny Jackett once before, which was when he was in charge of Millwall. Now, that's like hand-in-glove territory, isn't it? Jackett and Millwall, they just went together so well. And
like that.
I think the only time we played them was the 4-1, wasn't it, in the FA Cup? So
Yeah.
it'll be his first time down to Kingsmeadow, and our record against Portsmouth, our recent record at least, is pretty decent, isn't it? I think we've won 3 of our last 6 against them, so...
Yeah, we lost 1-0, didn't we, in the playoffs, the promotion season, didn't we?
Yeah.
We lost 1-0 at home, and that was going into playoffs. There's nothing better, right? There's nothing better. Pompey, I haven't got a lot of time with Pompey fans, I'm being truthful, but because they come down, wherever they go, they seem to think they take over because of the amount of fans they've got. I see the game as being televised back at Fratton Park for them, which is nice for them, but there's nothing better than sending their fans back home empty-handed, and one of my highlights at Kingsmeadow is that Sammy Moore, right footer, top corner, 4-0 win at home to Pompey a couple of years ago.
Yes, we're never going to forget that one. That was a great day. We scored 4 that day.
We did.
It's unlikely we're going to score 4 on Saturday. And here's why, Stu, because why didn't we score against Blackpool? You know the answer to this. Why did we not score against Blackpool? What is the actual reason?
Because we didn't score any goals.
Who was not in the squad who would have been the goal scorer?
You mean it would be Baliki?
It would be Bleakley, because alphabetical order. Now,
It was always going to fail at some point, wouldn't it?
I appreciate this has already gone wrong because Jayden Antley would have been involved somewhere along the line already, but he hasn't been. So as Bleakley's not actually in the squad, we have to look into our squad and who has been playing regularly that would be next on the list. And who would it be? Egan? I think it might be Egan. I can't think of any others.
Possibly. Or Hartigan.
We'd have Fuller and Frankham come before Hartigan, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but that ain't going to happen, is it?
Well, no. But it's got to, because we've got alphabetically. So Alfie Egan is probably the next one on the list. So Alfie needs to play instead of Jimmy Abdu.
So when we have a review of the season in 7 months' time, the reason we got relegated was because Nick wanted to play the alphabetical game.
Yeah, basically, we need to be scoring in alphabetical order.
Maybe that's the reason we're not winning. It's not a formation. It's not anything to do with formation or players. It's down to alphabetical order.
It's down to spelling. Anyway, quick prediction for the Portsmouth game.
I think we're going to win 2-0.
I will go for a 1-0 win.
I'll settle for that.
We'll take that. Updates from the game will be available on Twitter and Instagram at 9WireIs Podcast. Facebook Live should be, live as well, to keep you posted with what's going on before, during and after the game. So make sure you like us on Facebook, facebook.com/9WireIs Podcast to get notified once we go live. What other game? Well, I'm going to ask you what other game you'll be looking out for on Saturday, Stu, but I think there are 2 that stand out a mile off from the fixtures this week. I'm going to suggest they are Shrewsbury versus Wigan and Peterborough versus Bradford.
Yeah. Cracking set of fixtures, isn't there?
Yeah, for those 4 teams, yeah. Not so much for us.
Well, you got top versus 6th and second versus 5th, so This time of the season, you've got teams on form. I reckon they'll do 2 home wins. I reckon Peterborough will win against Bradford. I can see Shrewsbury beating Wigan.
You think Shrewsbury will beat Wigan? Ooh.
I can. I've been really impressed with Shrewsbury. I can see 2 home wins. I think Peterborough are doing really well. I think Bradford's still not great. They've still got that bit of that losing that 2-goal lead at Walsall. I think we'll still play on their minds. And I think, Peterborough, I just want to get this good form out of the way because I really don't want to be playing them too soon, especially when I get Ricky Miller back. So, I think it'll be 2 home wins, personally.
They don't need Ricky Miller. They've got Jack Marriott,
of course,
as we already discussed.
Of course.
Also on social media this week, links to our Spotify playlist, which will go up Friday night, Saturday morning. And also remember to check our website, 9yrspodcast.org. Jim Potter has and will be analysing all of our results this season, and he has done that for the first month in comparison to what we did last year. So it's a very interesting read, and you can check our progress. He'll be doing those every couple of months on the website, so keep an eye out for that, 9yrspodcast.org. Huge congratulations to the ladies again this week. Fantastic 1-0 FA Cup win, or Women's FA Cup win, over a nameless Buckinghamshire side. Katie Stanley scored the goal, so well done, Katie. This week, they travel to Denham United. Nope, me neither. Although, I think they might have been the company from the IT crowd. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that one up. Anyway, we wish them all the best for that trip. The Dons Trust SGM was last Thursday. Notes from that meeting are available on the donstrustwebjam.org for Dons Trust members. And the video will also be online soon if it's not already there. So please look out for that one. Also, the minutes from the secret guestbook meeting with Eric and Neil Ardley will be available for secret guestbook members from tomorrow. And you will know the password if you are a member. Isn't that right? Number 908.
That's correct.
Right, off we go. So try and hold it together for the final few moments. Thank you for listening. No, Stu's going to say he didn't read the script. To remind you of the time where we did a whole show, you blagged a whole show because you hadn't read the script.
Yeah, I did try.
Right, thank you for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to us if you're listening on either iTunes or YouTube. And if you're listening through our website, leave a comment underneath and tell us what you think. That would be very, very handy. Thank you very much. And that is indeed it for this week. So thank you once again, Stu, for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you guys for listening. And join us next week when we'll be talking to Kirsty Gallagher and Wayne Rooney. But we can't tell you where or when. Alexa Bliss, bag first. Mikey T, bag first, milk last. And we'll speak to you again next week. They are Shrewsbury versus Blackburn and Peterborough versus Bradford.
Shrewsbury versus Blackburn? I've got Wigan. Where have I got Wigan from?
You probably are right. And if you are, I'll redo that bit.
Please tell me I'm right. I've got Wigan.
I'm going to check the fixtures now. You just play amongst yourselves, listeners. You know this is going to get edited out anyway, so...
Yeah. Yes. Hardly out. Hardly out. Hardly out.
I'm leaving that bit in. No, you're quite right. I've had a mare. It is Shrewsbury versus Wigan. So
cool. That's good. We'll start again.
Let's just do that a bit again.